5 ways to help your teens focus. Is your teen struggling with focusing? You are not alone. Many preteens, teenagers, and even young adults have had struggles with focusing. And even myself, as a teenager, I had struggled a lot with focusing. I'm often distracted and move from one thing to the other. But as I went to med school, I learned better how to focus on what matters the most. So you are not alone in this, and it's nothing new under the sun. Now, many times we'll ask our children, why can't you just focus? Or ask my children sometimes when they're being distracted, why can't you just focus on this? But we're forgetting that focus is something that people learn. And so if it's something that you're struggling with, don't be in despair. You are not alone. It can be learned. Ability to concentrate and focus is a discipline that can be learned. Focus and concentration is important to human success and endeavors and productivity. And parents will want that for our children, and children want to excel. So that's why I'm creating this video, because parents have asked me, how can you help me empower me to help my teen to focus? She's always distracted and jumping from one thing to another. So stay tuned. This is for you. If you've not subscribed yet, this is a good time for you to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up and put in your comments. How have you as an adult struggled with even focusing? How have your teenager at home struggled with focus, and what have you done to help your child? So I can say concentration is defined as the ability to be aware of a particular thing for an extended period of time. So ability to keep your awareness on one thing for an extended period of time. Now, it can be learned, and distraction is huge in our system. There are two different types of distraction. We have the internal and the external. The external are things like television, things in the environment, people making noise around us. And the internal is something that is like pain, sadness, hunger, or even when somebody's mind is just wandering. They are not just focusing on one particular thing. And there are different approaches that could help a child, a teenager, or even adults to stay focused. The first one is the external environment, whereby you remove distractions such as phone notifications. Have you seen where you're on your phone, you're trying to do something meaningful or read a book, and a notification pops up and you're like, oh, who just emailed me? Who just texted me? What video did YouTube just say it's new? And then you go there, removing your focus on what you were doing and going to another thing. And other things are even playing games. Other things that are important for external things is removing TV from the room. Yeah, that's something else that you can use to reduce the external distraction, because you're like, well, let me just watch this 20 minutes video, and they end up staying there for like 2 hours. It happens to me, it happens to my children, and we had to address this and be aware that this is happening and control that. The other thing is having discipline around the technology around us, and this includes your phone, your television, your laptops. I just say, oh, I'm going to send an email, and then I stay there for a longer period of time. These are the things you could actually control what is happening externally. For internal, there are different approaches, different strategies, and this is a challenge that can be learned. You could help your children to focus on things. One of it is meditation, for instance, being able to be self-aware and being able to meditate and build that muscle on focusing. So yes, it can be learned. Now, if your teen is having trouble focusing, try these steps. I'm going to talk about 5 strategies to improve focus. The first thing I'm going to talk about is exercise, moving around. Now, for children that have very high tendency to be distracted. Often studies have shown that exercise have proven to help develop concentration and the brain. So what you could do is have your child do exercises, walk from school sometimes, do challenging chores in the house, do after school sporting activities. This actually helps to build the brain. So what I wrote down here is that studies have shown that exercise helps concentration, it helps learning, and it helps memory. And I do this in the morning. In the morning before I start my day, I do stretch exercises. Nothing rigorous, and I just do jumping jacks. I can do like 40, I can do like 50, and this pumps blood to the brain and just helps to improve our concentration, improves our focus, improves our memory. So you could, your child will definitely benefit from that. So please do engage your child in activities. And many times they say, "Oh, mom, I'm bored." Okay, let's do something. And they gather them together and just do some activities, and it boosts their brain. And sometimes you are walking through the day and you have fatigue, you're tired, and exercise is something that can also boost your mood and your brain and your concentration at that time. So teach your children to do this. The other thing is a determination to focus. Being self-aware, developing this awareness of self. And what you need to do is to teach your teen to develop awareness of when their mind strays from what they are doing. Now, if they are doing something and their mind strays, they need to develop the muscle of awareness whereby they bring it back. It strays, they bring it back. And over time, they're able to focus on one thing at a time. So the goal is to always redirect the mind back to what you're doing initially. Also, depending on the age of the child, it's good to help them focus on one thing at a time. For highly distracted children, give them a task that they need to do at a time. Don't give them multiple. But if they are like middle teenage years, you could give them more than 2. Then if they are young adults, of course 3 would be good, but you have to know the kind of child you have and what they could manage. So sometimes I'll tell my children, do this, do that, then they do the number 1 and forget the number 2, and they say, "Oh, mom, I forgot about this," and they didn't really mean not to do it, they just forgot. So when you know your child, give them enough tasks that is appropriate for their age and their condition. The second thing is self-management skills. Developing self-management is very crucial. This actually helps to improve the focus and concentration of a child, and it can be learned. So the first thing is to use the environment to your advantage. Set designated areas in the house that is for reading. Set areas that is for play. In my house, for instance, I have a work desk where I do all the work. That's some place where I do my thinking. And the same thing you could do for your children, whereby when they get into that zone, they know that, yeah, I'm here to work. And when they're out of that zone, they know that they are there to play. The other thing is to set work schedules and time. To say, you're going to play for when you come back from school. This is what I do in my home, for instance. When they come back from school, they wind down, you take your lunch, you do your homework, and they just focus on that. Then they can go play. And then after that, they can do other things, like their chores as well. And sometimes the reverse, come from school, do your schoolwork, do your chores, then go play on the phone, and then we'll do other, things in the house. So there are schedules and there are time to those schedules. And the other thing is a to-do list. A to-do list has a way of releasing good hormones to people. When they have a to-do list and they're able to check it off as being done, it gives them a sense of awareness, a sense of accomplishment, a sense of that they've done things that they ought to do. And this is very important. Evaluating the work they've done is also important, to know the quality of the work they are doing. And so they're like, "Oh, how did I do today? I've done my homework. Was it well done? I've done my chores." They're able to look back and see, was it done properly? And this really helps them to have the sense of fulfillment and excellence. And it boosts their ability to focus that, oh, if I do things well and focus on that, then I could do other things well in addition. Also, teach them to ask for help. When they're not able to do something, instead of being frustrated about it, they can ask for help. So it's important for them to know. The fourth thing I'll talk about is using signals to communicate with your kids to help them to concentrate rather than say, hey, it's time to go. It's time to go from this and talk. You could just show them time, and they learn and they're able to get up. That way they're able to focus on what they are doing and they're not distracted by noise or by a voice or by yelling sometimes. Also, taking breaks is important. That's the fifth one. Taking breaks has really been instrumental to my own personal development, in the sense that when I told you earlier that I get distracted easily, but this is how the brain works. The brain can concentrate on things as little as 8 seconds at a time before it resets. So while I was in medical school, I'll have different subjects I'm reading for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 20 minutes. Then I'll take a break. Usually I'll even look for places whereby it has a restroom near it, or it has a place I can buy food or snacks. So whenever I read, I'll take the opportunity to go and buy something, munch on something, or go to the restroom. And it gives me a bit of time to wind down. The time I go to the next subject, I feel in a better position to learn again. So I've mentioned 5 tips and strategies in which you could help your teen to focus. The first one is exercise, moving around. Second one is determine to develop self-awareness of what you're doing and being able to redirect yourself back to the work at hand, that target work at hand. Self-management is important. Being able to use the environment to your advantage, having a to-do list, setting work schedules. Other things I mentioned is evaluating the work that you're doing and asking for help. That's a good self-management skill. The fourth thing I mentioned is using signals and not words when you're communicating with your kids when they're engaged in a task. And the last but not the least is to take breaks. To take breaks helps the brain to reset and helps you, the teen, to be able to learn the next item and also to improve your concentration and focus. So thank you for listening. It has been awesome being here talking to you today. Please like, share, subscribe. Also, I'd like to work with you. Engage me to work with you. Call me, reach out to me. I'm happy to speak with your tribe for a speaking engagement and just work with you. So thank you. Have a good day. Bye. Cheers.